So, do you want to leave the UK and start living abroad? I made that move when I was 21. I moved from the UK to Australia on a working holiday visa. It was one of the best things I ever did, and it really did change my life moving from the UK to Australia. But there's no doubt that move is a massive jump in anyone's life. There's no doubt about that for anyone. And in this video, I'm going to share some of the realities, and also if you're one of these sorts of people, you should not move abroad because it's going to be very, very difficult for you. My advice is definitely to move abroad. It is the best thing ever. But there's some people that probably shouldn't do it, which we will come on to later in this video. So the first people that shouldn't move abroad are if you are terrible with money. Now, this is something that you have to get very good at when you move abroad, because a lot of the time, unless you've got a really good job, it is very expensive moving abroad. And whilst you can do it cheaply, you do have to be very wary of what you're spending, and you can't just go crazy. If you're terrible with money and you're living paycheck to paycheck, spending it every single month, you're gonna struggle abroad a lot, because you can't really be like that. You have to budget, and you can't just do everything that you would want to do before. You can't always get the takeaways. You can't be going out every single weekend. It's something that you have to get very good at. You can definitely learn this when you move abroad. You can learn to be good with money, but the chances are, if you're terrible with money, you're gonna learn the hard way when you move abroad, because once you run out of money, you're in a pretty sticky situation, because like, you're so far from home. The next point is if you're too reliant on other people. If you can't fend for yourself, if you're constantly looking to other people for advice and always needing help with every single thing, you're gonna struggle so much abroad, because this is one thing that you have to get very good at, and that is being independent. One thing that moving abroad did teach me was how independent I had to be, and now it's got to the point where I can pretty much do anything on my own. But if you're not an independent person and you can't think for yourself, you are definitely gonna struggle abroad. It can obviously go two ways. You can move abroad and it can teach you so much, and it can teach you to be independent, but you're gonna struggle if you're someone that cannot think for themselves, because when you're abroad, you have to constantly be thinking for yourself all the time. The next one is if you're not spontaneous or adventurous. I mean, if you're not adventurous, like, what are you doing moving abroad? You might as well just stay in your hometown. But you have to be spontaneous as well, because things don't always go as smoothly as you want them. Sometimes you've got to compromise, you've got to do things which you weren't expecting to do. You might have to move to a different place than you were expecting. You might have to do a different job, move in a different house. You have to be just open to everything. And if you're someone that is so, like, you need it all laid out, that plan laid out, and you don't want it to change, moving abroad is probably not a good idea, because things change all the time and you've got to adapt to things last minute. That's one thing I've got very used to, is plans change so much, and it can be difficult at first. But if you're someone that is really, really bad at dealing with when plans change, moving abroad probably isn't the best option for you. The next one is if you get overwhelmed easily. Moving abroad can be very overwhelming. Like I've mentioned in other videos, it puts you in a lot of difficult situations which you wouldn't have to deal with if you were at home. And this leads to a lot of people feeling very overwhelmed. And if you're that sort of person that gets overwhelmed very easily, you're gonna struggle moving abroad, that's for sure. The positive side to that is it can definitely help you, because you're getting put in difficult situations, you can get more used to it. But if you're the sort of person that really struggles with any kind of stressful situation, moving abroad is not going to be easy for you. And the last point, quite simply, is if you just like home a lot. My videos are aimed at people who really are desperate to move abroad. They want to start a new life. People who don't know how to do it but are unhappy in their current environment. But if you're happy where you are, you like being at home a lot, I wouldn't move abroad personally, because it might not be a step up. With me, I always wanted to move abroad, and I was kind of bored with my life at home, and I knew that to take the next step and get to that next step in life, I had to move and start experiencing something different. If you love your home comforts and you're quite happy just living a normal life, there's no need for you to make such a big jump abroad, because the chances are you're going to miss home a lot and probably want to move back. You want it to be a step forward moving abroad, not a step back in terms of like your happiness. All of these points that I've made are definitely relevant if you are one of them sorts of people. However, each one can be spun into a positive, because if you do have one of them characteristics where you might get overwhelmed easily, or you're not very good at dealing with difficult situations, moving abroad, there's no doubt that you can improve on these sort of things so much. It will teach you to be good with money because you've got no other choice when you move abroad. You have to think for yourself, so it will definitely teach you to be more independent. You get used to being spontaneous and constantly having plans change, because when you move, it is a part of daily life sometimes. In terms of being overwhelmed, you can get used to that over time, but generally I think people in that category will struggle. But yeah, they're just some points on moving abroad to share the reality. Honestly, I think it's the best thing you can do. If you are one of these people, moving abroad can definitely help that. However, if you struggle with a lot of them things and you don't think it's going to change much, moving abroad probably isn't the best thing for you. You have to be a spontaneous person, you have to be social, you have to be willing to adapt, and you have to be excited to make that move. If you're not one of them things, then it's probably not worth it. It's definitely not for everyone. A lot of people, to be honest, like, couldn't have done what I've done, moved to the other side of the world when they were 21, and that's just the reality, because it isn't for everyone. People like their home comforts, and people like being around others and constantly getting advice from them. Personally, I'm quite independent and not afraid to take risks, so it definitely worked out well for me, and if you're the same as that, it will be the best move for you. That's just some of the reality. If you need any help with moving abroad, feel free to check out the description for my moving abroad guide. It's on the screen and in the description. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon with another video.